The second experience that I had was, it was just about me in a sense. It was just facing little parts of the personal self, but it was very interesting. It wasn't even when I had put the physical body down. This was, I was just walking around in the physical realm, and I was walking around in the physical realm, and all of a sudden I got the little intuitive urge or little intuitive nudge to sing the NUUU, which is no big deal. Of course I will. So I started singing the NUUU. And when I started singing, all of a sudden, I didn't sing it for a long time. I maybe sang it maybe 3 times, just NUUU, and then, 3 other times. But in those little times that I did it, my focus shifted from whatever routine that I was going through into something else that I didn't see before, and it was a part of myself. My view had opened up into what almost was like I was watching a movie, or like how Ramon says sometimes it's like a panoramic view. And I was looking, and it was this little part of myself. It looked like a bat, not with the ears and with the nose, but it really wasn't hanging upside down. But it had these long arms that were made of like skin, and they were like wings, and they were wrapped around itself, and it didn't have a mouth, and it looked really gnarly. It looked really very kind of deformed and very kind of scary looking almost. And I kept looking at it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm focusing on what's going on with this scene. Why is this here? I had all these questions, but I'm still going through it, seeing what's going on. So I walk up to this part of myself, because again it looks exactly like me, and I'm looking at it, and because it doesn't have a mouth, it's not saying anything, but it's just kind of looking at me. And then I asked Rebazar, I said, well, Rebazar, how can I resolve this? And it said, what, I forget exactly what he said, or I don't can't see exactly what he had said to me, but it was something along the lines of listen to him. Something like that. Which is kind of funny because he didn't have a mouth, but of course it's different than that, it's more so. So, anyways, I remember I just kind of leaned in, and I was kind of just there. And then all of a sudden, as I leaned in, like as if I was listening to him, the little arms that were so rapidly or tightly wrapped around the body started to open up. They started to unwrap a little bit. And I noticed that I had to follow this very specific sequence of events to where, like the way that I approached him, what I did, and certain things, because otherwise he would have just wrapped up really tight again. So I had to get him to open up the arms and whatever. And anyways, once the arms were unwrapped to a point, I was able to kind of use my hands and sort of pull them open. When I pulled them open, I was holding on to something. I was tightly clinging on to something really, really tightly. So much so that I had become, it's almost like a prisoner with it. I was holding on to this thing very close to my chest, and I was able to let it go, but I didn't. And it was very interesting as I was going through this, because again, this is sort of like a mix between the real side and the physical. It's not totally in another realm and not totally in the physical. It was just kind of like right there in that moment. Everything was coming through, and I could see it all. And as I was going through this experience, I could feel all these parts of me. I could see all these parts of me, around my aura and in my different bodies realigning. It was like I was getting rid of all this junk, and I could really perceive it to where even in the physical body there was an effect, there was a sensation. And something with my aura on the right side, it started to fill in. I didn't realize that it was kind of open, but it was started to fill in and get a little bit stronger. And so, anyways, I got the arms open of this little skin kind of deformed version of myself, one of the other bodies or something like that. And again, it was clinging to something. It was actually clinging to a person. And I let this person go. And then after that, I was able to take off the little, I guess there was like a tape over the mouth. The reason it didn't have a mouth, at first it looked like solid skin. But as I started to go through the scene, all these things that were like restrictions really turned into nothing. They weren't a part of me anymore, in a sense. They were just like that, tape over the mouth, something that I could just take off. They weren't really a part of me anymore. And so I just became the choice of, facing them, dealing with it, taking it off. And as I started to do that, I was helping this little part of myself recover. And it sort of like fell to the floor, because it was, I'd just been standing, and sort of fell to the floor. And I felt like a sense of compassion, because it was like a child. It really was like a child, and it was just kind of sitting there. And I remember I kind of kneeled down, and when I hugged it, I gave it a little hug. I absorbed it back into myself. He disappeared, and I knew that it went into my chest area around my heart. And it was very kind of almost like a movie scene, but that was my experience. And again, while I'm doing this, my aura is sealing up, and I can see like my astral body is losing this black stuff coming on the right side, which again, on the physical form, there's this injury that I had on the right side, but all this stuff is kind of helping. So that was my little experience I wanted to share, that, we get these little views, and sometimes we think, oh, that's our imagination, or like, however we can label it, but we, going through it constantly, because, it is something.
That's good, Jeremy, and it's also the resistance that we go through to motivate us. Just like a bodybuilder, that resistance motivates the bodybuilder to become stronger. So, which is good, and most people, they don't care. They just let it go. So, this is why we're here. We go through all this funny stuff to become stronger and more aware. There's a strength within the personal self, and that is to focus on becoming more aware. That's the real strength there. And so, those are two cool ones. Bundle those up and do a new group and share it with 1 million people. It's very, very good. And Kelsey will make a website, etc., letting people know what's going on out there. So little by little, we'll see. So, those are great. Thank you.